everybody. Hey, just getting all of this stuff set up. So, hi, happy Friday. It is the studio Ask Me Anything office hours thing that I've been doing every Friday. So, hi. Uh, it's always starting these things is weird because I'm trying to get streaming in two different locations, and I want a live chat. Keep that going. So hi, I've been doing these like every Friday for the past couple weeks. Just trying to get like really great about doing these. This is an ask me anything sort of situation, so you can literally ask me anything. For those of you who know me, my name is Ben Markham. I'm a professional photographer based in Louisville, Kentucky. I specialize in professional headshots and boudoir and portraits. So we can talk about photography. We can talk about the photography business. I will answer anything. Last week, folks were asking me questions about how much I love my wife, which is awesome because I love her a lot. So, so literally, we can chat about anything. So, interesting and annoying thing. So, I had video go viral last week, which doesn't happen often, and honestly, I don't always love it when it does. Kilted Hiker says, "What is the one thing? The one thing you said anything? The one thing what? What? Okay, now you've got to refresh me. I'm already slipping. Man, I'm 48. So while I'm waiting for you to clarify, so I can answer that, so like I had like 3 people book consultations today off of that video. Every single one of them decided to ghost me. And nothing pisses me off more than somebody wasting my time at all, because like that's time that I block off my calendar when I can't book somebody else into the studio. And, then I end up sitting there waiting and just wasting time as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, me sitting around just waiting, cost me money, and even if it didn't, I could be hanging out with my wife and my dog. So, don't waste my time. You're 54 when someone says the one thing, what's the first thing that comes to mind? When someone says the one 54, when someone says the one thing, what's the first, the one thing, what? I need more context, man. The one thing, what? I mean, you're breaking my brain. Somebody's going deep into Marx. How do I feel about the Marx theory of alienation of labor? I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently about it, and I wish I did, because I would love to wax poetic, on that. One of the things I like about me most is that I am happy to say I don't know when I don't know something, and I won't necessarily just make shit up just to make it up. So over on TikTok saying my mom had a portrait done when she was 25 years old. She's 85 now. I would love doing it. You should. So a couple of years ago, my mom actually said, and she'd never done this before. She was like, I want you to do a portrait of me. And I was like, yeah, sure. If we do it. So like, I totally did a picture of my mom. Let me, yeah, you can mess with me all you want. And it was like the most nerve-wracking portrait I've ever done is photographing my mother. I also knew where it was going. Like it's going over the fireplace in her den, in her family room, like where they watch TV. And so I says to her, and I told her, I was like, I'm nervous, man. Like I'm photographing any other human on the planet, yeah, whatever. You're my mom. And she's like, why are you nervous? And I was like, well, what if I mess this up? And I didn't use mess. There were other 4-letter words involved. And she's like, just don't mess it up. I was like, oh, okay, that's great. But no, we brought her in. We did the full thing. Makeup artist was here. And is there a best age step in front of the camera? Years ago and now. Those are the best times to do it. So like don't wait, especially for your kids. Like and you were just talking about the photo of your mom, right? Like get as much as you can. Like I'm kind of sad that I don't have a ton of pictures of my mom, like from when I was younger. The only one that I have that I personally have, and it's not a formal thing. It was from my high school graduation, and it's like the only picture of me, my mom, and my sister that we have together. And so yeah, is get in front of the camera as often as you can, whether it's a formal one or it needs to be both. Like do the formal stuff because it's beautiful and it's fun, but do all the candid stuff too, like all the candid goofy stuff. For example, like my father and I don't have a relationship anymore, and that's fine. It is what it is. But after my grandmother passed, and we were and my father and I still had a relationship at this point. We were going through photos to get things together for her memorial service, and I found a photo of my grandmother and my dad just doing goofy stuff together. Like it was like a goofy photo at a kitchen table, and like she had like turned his head, and then they were both making a goofy face, and so like I never seen photos of them together, so like it meant the world to me. So yeah, keep doing the candids. I totally keep doing them, and don't keep them digitally, right? Because digital, it's so easy for us to lose the digital. I highly encourage like print those suckers, and like get one of those like old school photo books if they still make them. I think they still do. I still have a bunch of these, like the kind with like the sticky pages and the cellophane or whatever that went over it. Because I remember moments when I was a kid of like just sitting down with those photo books and just flipping the pages, and then the stories that come up from that. And it's got a completely different tactile experience as well than just like scrolling through a phone, right? Like to be able to, because like it's hard for everybody to crowd around a phone. You have a big F off photo album, right? And everybody can flip the pages and point and touch, and it sounds silly, but it means so much, right? Like on my dresser at home, I have like two little printed 4x6s of just candids from my wife and I's wedding, right? So like every day when I'm getting ready, there's my wife. We've got printed photos of the dog, like little, just like the daycare we take him, like they do like picture days, like Halloween photos or Valentine's photos, or it's like we have a photo sitting next to our TV that's like him dressed as Buzz Lightyear, and he was young and like put up with things that I don't think he would do it now. I have a picture of your aunt from the 1800s. It's large, like the ones, right? Like I feel like this sort of thing was like a lost art, and like people got away from it. And when I started doing portraits, that was my thing. I was like, I want to bring this back, right? Because like I grew up. My mom worked at Kentucky Opera when I was a kid, and at that point, the opera was their offices were based out of an old Victorian mansion / museum here in Louisville called the Brennan House, and like it was the Brennan family's house, and Dr. Brennan had his life there. Oh, you're from Louisville? That's awesome. So like like I was around all the Brennan stuff, including all of their big family portraits, and it's become the art becomes such a soul of the home, right? Like so my wife and I have actually started we started years ago, collecting art. Like we'd find big painted portraits and like ones that speak to us, and we've bought them. So we have like 4 or 5 big painted portraits now. We don't know who these people are, right? And like our oldest one's like from the 1700s or whatever, but they're now a part of the soul of our home, right? Like our house wouldn't feel like a home if it weren't for our painted portraits. And we've given them names. We don't know who they are. Like our first one, we call her Susan. Then there's an older distinguished gentleman that we found at an auction, and he's been restored. He's great. Oh, hello. And we just call him the gent. We've got the one from the I think it's 1700s. We call him Robert. Like no rhyme or reason. Uh, but they're and then there's a couple more I won't bore you with. But yeah, like they're very much part of the soul of our home, and we also don't take ourselves as the owners of them. We see ourselves as the custodians of them. Like once we're no longer here, we want to make sure, because they're all really nice pieces, we want to make sure that they're cared for and they're taken care of. We've had two of them restored, cleaned and restored. The others don't need it; they're in good shape, but they're good enough pieces that if we don't have family to pass them on to, I'll get in touch with the museum and make sure that these pieces are cared for. It's a Yeah, I also prefer old homes to new construction to a point. Our house is built in 1908. Like, so the bones of our house are rock effing solid, right? However, there's also downsides to living in a house built in 1908. It has problems that are consistent with a house that was built in 1908, other than the hauntings. Um, yeah, no, very limited closet space. We have multiple armoires. When our house was originally built, it actually didn't have a bathroom, so there was an outhouse out back, and so we were trenching, through the backyard to run new electric to the garage. We had to lay conduit, and you have to dig down so deep. And we found the final foundation stone we think it's the final foundation stone of the original outhouse of the house. So the bathroom was added far later. It's small. The original lighting in the house was natural gas. Fireplace in the living room, which we don't use. It would need a lot of work to get it going, but it's an old coal fireplace. And in the coal room, which is under our kitchen, there are still pieces of coal like stuck up in the rafters, that sort of thing. So it's the house has character and ghosts, but it's good, man. I love the character of the house. Unfortunately, our house needs a lot of work. The last two owners, blessed, that like we're the fourth long term owner of the house. Like, we've done all the genealogy. The the I That's a good question. Stand by. The last two owners just did terrible things. They didn't know what end of a hammer to use and kept trying anyway. So we're undoing a lot. So the question on TikTok over here, YouTube, is how do you choose clothing for a portrait to keep it timeless? By keeping by not making it costumey, right? Hello, YouTube. I will be with you in just a second, just 2 seconds. So what a lot of people do when they go to do a portrait is they assume that they have to um, they have to dress formally, or they have to do a thing. It's not the case. If you wouldn't dress formally, I don't want to see you in something formal, right? Like, one of my favorite portraits of somebody recently, it was somebody I was working with, and I was like, what do you feel amazing in? No, I'm not Sam Kinison. Thank you. Uh, so she was like, man, jeans and t-shirt. Jeans and t-shirt is what makes me the most comfortable. I was like, then that's what we're doing. Right. So, because really what makes a portrait timeless and what makes it, last, is it's about the person being the person. The wardrobe doesn't really matter at that point. So it's really got to come down to, what are you the most comfortable in? I'm very comfortable wearing a suit. I'm very comfortable wearing a tux. I'm very comfortable in a t-shirt too, right? So any of those things would work for me. But like, a lot of guys that I photograph, for example, would never wear a tie, and you put one on them and they freak out. So that's kind of the Cliff's Notes version. Let me see these questions from YouTube. Sorry, hon. The question is, how is usage license difference between portrait and group headshots? Is it makes sense to upsell usage license with copyrights or full ownership? Many thanks. Okay, so that's a much deeper conversation. So we're talking about usage for portraits and licensing and headshots and those sorts of things. If you get into full commercial photography, that can get deep and they can get very, very expensive. Thank you so much. Um, so it really depends. And it's like the commercial photographers that I know that like make their living doing commercial, they'll sell, you can use the photo for X, Y, and Z for X, Y, Z amount of time. And then if there are extensions, then they can buy extensions, and that's the sort of thing. Typically, me personally, what I do for headshots or corporate headshots, if somebody like needs it for a book cover, a billboard, or whatever, I'm not a commercial photographer, and I don't understand all the ins and outs, and I don't have lawyers and all that stuff. Well, I have lawyers, but not that kind of lawyer. So I just kind of do a flat licensing fee. It's like if you're gonna go commercial with it, I just do like $1,500, $2,000 or something, because it's not worth my time to go chase everything else down, and I get it so rarely. It just the return on investment's not there for me. I never give away full ownership of anything unless somebody buys it like full copyright. Like I retain copyright to my work. If somebody wants to buy the copyright, I will sell it to them, but that's going to be very expensive. And I don't have a number off the top of my head, but as of right now, I retain the copyright to every photo that I've ever created. And then I just grant usage to things. So website, social media, biggly boo. But for most of us out there who are just working with everyday clients, not commercial clients, I don't recommend going too far down that rabbit hole. Just kind of set your price for something commercial and just do it. It'll make your life easier. Also on YouTube, it's asked, what was the one thing you did that upgraded your headshot biz, marketing, etc.? Ooh, oh, that is a great question. Thank you. I niched. That was the first. That was the first big thing that I did, and like I decided that like I was going to be the headshot photographer. Period. Right. And at that time, there was nobody in my area that was focusing on strictly headshot stuff. Like there would be like wedding photographers and that sort of thing who are family photographers who would go, oh yeah, I'll shoot headshots too. Like nobody was like specializing in that. And so I decided I was going to, and even if somebody else had been doing it, I wouldn't have cared. I would have still specialized in it. And it was like, I'm going to dial in, I'm going to be known as this, and I'm going to put in the time and energy to get really, really good at doing headshots. And now marketing wise, marketing is such a, it's a moving target, at all times. Like the way that I market now is so very different than how I marketed 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like it's a different game. And it's going to keep moving and evolving. It's like, making sure, very broad brushstrokes, making sure my website was very easy to get to it and immediately go, that's what that guy does. Right. Because like people don't spend time at all. Like they're going to look, and if they can't tell what you do in a matter of seconds, then they're going to bounce. So like it has to be crystal clear what you do. So like if you go to benmarkham.com, which is my headshot website, you're going to go, oh, this guy does headshots. If you go to Boudoir by Ben Markham, you're going to look at that site and go, oh, this guy shoots boudoir photography. Like there's no, no ambiguity about it. What's happening right now, and like other marketing things are still like networking is still crazy important. T, I will come back to that question. If I forget, ask it again, because that's a good question. So networking is huge. Getting out, shaking hands, like who is extremely important. And where 5-10 years ago we could all get away with just posting images to our social media, right? Like that game has entirely changed. Like if you're not doing short form video now, you're hosed. You're absolutely hosed, because static images on social aren't doing as good of, they're not getting traction. Like every social media platform is pushing short form video. It's why you see me on so much short form all the time, right? Not only that, what's happening with the short form, and it's completely going to change the SEO game, and already is, the large language models, so Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, they're all like, when you post a video online, whether it's long form or short form, it creates a transcript in the background, and all of the large language models and Google are going to those transcripts. And that's how it's trying to determine who's an expert in their field and who's putting out, reputable or content that matters, right? Or content that's relevant. So if you're not making those short form videos, you're in trouble. It's completely changed, and it's going to change very, very quickly. Whereas like a year and a half ago, all of those models were looking at Reddit for a lot of their information. It's shifted, and it's all moving to short form and long form video. So shameless plug, because I have to, I've put out a course that is short form video for photographers, because I know a lot of photographers are hesitant to start doing short form video, don't know what to say, don't know how to record it. I've done it. If you go to the link in my bio, there's a course. I will walk you through it. It's everything that I do for this. So get the course and get going. It's not about going viral. It's more about connecting with your ideal audience and getting your work in front of the right people. People are spending their time on their phones, and if you're not there in front of them, then you're gonna lose out. T over on TikTok asks, curious about the idea of men's boudoir shoots. Are they common? They are not as common as boudoir shoots for women, and neither are classic portrait sessions. Just gentlemen don't book portrait sessions as often. Not that they never do, it's just not as often. Guys will have no problem booking a professional headshot session, because that's for work, blah blah blah. And then I can often then be like, hey, while you're here, let's do this cool thing, and I can get some portraits of guys that way. Hello, Texas. But you don't see men's boudoir photography as often, which is unfortunate. I wish there was more of it. Full disclosure, I've talked about this a fair amount. I'm in the middle of a health journey right now, and getting my middle-aged body into the best shape it's ever been in. And when I get it to where I want it to be, I fully intend on photographing myself the way that I photograph other people. Follow for more XRP updates. What's an XRP? Am I showing my age? That would be really lame. So I apologize for drinking out of this. My fitness coach, wants me drinking a gallon of water a day, and this is the easiest way for me to track it. Pardon me for a moment. It feels like I'm going to age myself more. There were like sippy cups that we had when we were a kid, like from Tupperware. They had like the plastic lid on them, right? And so this feels like a grown-up sippy cup. Oh, you are so welcome, T. Thank you so much for asking questions. I greatly appreciate it. Please ask as many questions as you would like. Over on YouTube, it says, do you still hand edit your work? The use of Retouch AI app in portrait photography is now huge. Sometimes it feels I'm running behind other photographers in editing, retouching, delivering the final work. Okay, so AI retouching versus hand retouching. It depends. So for headshot retouching, I totally just use the photo these days. I can do it by hand. I know how to do it. But for just like basic blemish removal, stray hair removal, taking, little pieces of lint off of clothes or whatever, and I shoot all my backgrounds either solid white or solid gray, it's just faster to get a really good result. If I'm doing an image that's only going to be printed like in an 8 by 10 or an 8 by 12? Good question. I'll answer that in a second. So I asked what I was like in the 90s. Um, I will do the base retouching with a photo, and then I'll go in and do my final touches, like my classic stuff. If it's going to be a big image, everything is done by hand. Yeah, everything. So, for example, a couple years ago, I did a personal project that was the Three Graces. So I had three fully unclothed women in the thing, and I knew it was going to be printed big. That entire image in a full beauty edit, so like deep dodging and burning. Um, it took me months because I had to run the business too. Everything was done by hand, every single bit of it. So it really depends on the piece. What is the LinkedIn long game? Do you offer group pricing? I'm going to come back to that question. That's a great question. Let me answer over here. Oh, you guys are doing awesome today. Thank you. How do you get? That's also a great question. Stand by. What was I like in the 90s was a question here on TikTok. I'm an old school punk rock hardcore kid. So I was a punk rock hardcore kid. I started working in theater at that point. So I started getting paid to do sound design engineering when I was like 15. I was doing it a little bit before I started getting paid when I was 15. So I was a theater kid, a gamer kid, played in bands, so kind of grungy, kind of punk rock, then kind of goth. So all of those things still kind of meld together into what I do now. So not much different than I am now, just less gray. What lighting setup do you use for more of that soft look? My go-to light setup, and this tweaks, but I use a large, like 4-foot octabox as my key light, and then I'll put a large fill behind me, or a white B flat or a black B flat, depending. But that's the basics of it but then I'll tweak and modify that as I go. Question on YouTube is, what's the LinkedIn long game? Also, do I do group pricing on the website, or is it better to not have pricing for teams such as those with 20 or 30 members? So the LinkedIn long game, as my buddy Trevor says, and Trevor talks about this a lot. Trevor is a LinkedIn guru. It's post, engage, connect. Totally stealing that from him. But you've got to be visible. It's not about being salesy all the time. It's about being visible and being supportive. Trevor books a ton from LinkedIn. I personally don't book a ton from LinkedIn. I'm not as comfortable on LinkedIn because to me, the platform feels a little self-indulgent, and I may not be choosing the right words. That platform doesn't feel genuine to me, and maybe that's just me. It's just kind of where I sit with it, and I just may need to spend more time with it. But it seems like a lot of people just trying to put themselves over rather than being genuine human beings. And then the question is, how do I get women to feel comfortable with me the same way I get anybody to feel comfortable with me? And it's just being human, right? It's just all human interaction. The person that you guys see on videos, on the short form videos, or on the lives or whatever, same dude. So what you see is what you get. I may. If somebody comes in and they're very nervous, I may dial it back a little bit, and because that's what I would want too. If I'm a little bit tense or stressed, I don't want somebody coming at me with big energy, flipping the script. If somebody comes in with big energy right out of the gate, I'm going to meet them with big energy. But it's really just being with people and just treating people like people. Listening is huge. Paying attention. They, one way or the other, everybody will tell you what they need in that moment, whether it's whether they're cold or just they're uncomfortable, and you can meet them where they are. Um, so good question. I like that one. Try it with my race team, finding sponsors. Yeah. It just, and I think LinkedIn has a place. Like I really do. I don't know, man. And maybe I'm just not connecting with the right people. Um, Somebody did a post the other day. It was like, what they say, it was something to the effect of, seems like everybody on LinkedIn is so honored to be dot dot dot, which is true, man. It's like that's the whole thing. I kind of want to be more like, tell me about your dog, right? A buddy of mine who runs a digital marketing firm, like websites and all that stuff. He's like, let's just make this more real. Here's the album I'm listening to right now. Thank you for the husky pick. So that's Cedric. That's my boy. He sometimes comes to the studio with me, and he was here one day, and I was like, well, if you're here, get in front of the camera. So we did that portrait of him. And that was the day that I was like, I wonder if anybody has LouisvillePetPortraits.com. And they don't. So I do. So I brought in a bunch of dogs and stuff, and did a bunch of portraits of dogs, and I photographed chickens and a pig. Don't let the photo fool you. He is not that regal. He is a toolbox and a half. He puts the husky face, like that face keeps him out of trouble. The rest of the time, like we did the DNA test with him. Thank you so much. We did the DNA test with Cedric, and like he's 40% husky, and then there's like all working breeds because he comes from Hazard, Kentucky. So there's German Shepherd, Great Pyrenees, Beagle, American Eskimo dog. It's like all these working breeds, but what really shows up with him is husky and German Shepherd. Like those two personalities are nuts. Like he wants to 100% good boy when he wants something. No, I love him. I love him like a fat kid loves cake. That wasn't nice. When Cedric came to us, he had a lot of bad habits, right? Like he's 3 months old and just all teeth, husky glitter for serious. It's everywhere. And so like he's the only dog that I've ever, I too also love cake, and my coach has completely removed all of it from my life. Dude, like what I'm eating, or more importantly, what I'm not eating right now is crazy. He was hard, man. Like he pushed both me and my wife to our limit at different times. And I learned dog training because of that dog. So I got good at training. Like I was volunteering at the Humane Society. I was like, I can help do some training stuff. And they're like, oh, well, what training experience do you have? And I was like, I trained a husky. And they were like, okay, you're good. He's a great coach. Guy's name is Steve Weingarten. He's phenomenal. So the bipolar vampire here on TikTok says, do you have any tips for someone who wants to get into boudoir photography? Start shooting it. Like figure out what style you like. Two huskies, one just, oh, I'm sorry, your husky had surgery on their knees. That was on YouTube. Hopefully they have a speedy response. Response, sorry, trying to watch two screens. Recovery. I'm pretty, not smart. So figure out a style of boudoir photography that you like. Like, for example, my style is very different than a lot of other boudoir photographers that I see. Not that my style is the right way or theirs is the wrong way. It's just, what scratches that itch for you. As a buddy of mine put it years ago and really helped me get on the right path was, you just got to shoot stuff that you want to look at, right? So I kind of feel like if the art isn't igniting your soul, then do something else, right? So start there, and then practice. And that may mean as you're getting started, bringing in anybody who's willing to step in front of your camera. Start figuring out lighting, start figuring out posing, and all that, and just and it's reps. Okay, let me back up. So when I started headshot photography, and I'll loop this back around to boudoir photography. When I started headshot photography and didn't really have any idea what I was doing, when somebody booked a session with me, I would say it was up to a 4-hour long session. And I did that because I was nervous. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to get the images as quickly. And so I was like, I'm going to buy myself enough time to make sure I get great shots. 4-hour sessions are nuts. I don't want to spend time with anybody other than my wife for like 4 hours, right? So the more I did it and the more I shot and the more I got better, that time just kept getting better, right? And so like now, like a lot of my headshot business, for example, is I have a bunch of companies that like I did everybody's headshot at the company. And now whenever there's a new hire, they send me the new hire and I photograph them. And I can have a new hire shoot in and out of this studio 10 minutes, right? And that's if we're going slow. So because I've done it so many times, it's just second nature. So same with the boudoir stuff, right? So like when I first started shooting, this style of portrait and boudoir work, I would be much more nervous. And like I would spend a lot of time, the days leading up to looking at inspiration images and testing light and doing this and doing that. And like I would be, a little bit freaked out and I'd be nervous. And the day of, I'd be drinking my coffee in the morning and be saying to my wife, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get anything good out of this. Oh, I'm just because I wasn't confident yet. The only way I got that confidence was to jump in there and do it and keep doing it until it's just like, yeah, this is good. We're going to play. I'm not complacent. I'm not saying like, oh, I don't even have to try anymore. I still have to try. My brain still has to be on. But I'm not as nervous about it anymore. Now, let's flip the script on that. Let's say that somebody insisted that I went and shot their wedding. I don't shoot weddings, and the only way I'd go shoot a wedding would be if somebody paid me a lot of money because I don't want to do it. I know good wedding photographers I can recommend people, but with this hypothetical situation, somebody gave me a lot of money to go do their wedding. I would be a nervous wreck, right? Because I don't do it often. And because I don't do it often, I would be nervous. Like I think I've shot 8 weddings total, and that was like at the beginning of my career. Okay, over here on TikTok says, what's the one thing you've learned you wished you learned sooner with photography? With photography or the business? There's 2 different things. Let's see if I can cover both. With photography, what I wish I'd learned earlier was don't worry about what other people are creating. Don't chase what other people are creating. Make your art. So hold on, I have to go back to the adult sippy cup. I apologize. Thank you. So when I was first getting going and didn't know what I was doing, I would see people like Sue Bryce, great example. And I think the world of Sue. I've only met her briefly. I don't know her personally. But like when I discovered her portrait work, yes, I will revisit the pricing. Sorry, I forgot that. Stand by. Don't let me forget. That's a good question. I found Sue on Creative Live, saw her work, and heard about her business. Like she was one of the first people that really got me going with the money side of the business. And I was looking at her work and being like, oh, well, she's running or has run $1 million business doing that style of photography. So that must be the style of photography that I need to make, right? To be able to hit those numbers. I would try to shoot that style, but it never spoke to me, right? I would like shoot it, then I'd be looking at it afterwards and be like, whatever, I don't care, right? So when it worked for her, it was you could tell that her soul was in the work when she shot it, and you could look at what I shot and go, soul's not in it. Like it's just really obvious. And then like once I found that's what this is about. You can ask questions, but if it's a trollish question, I just ignore them, but yes, you absolutely may. So like once I found my style and got comfortable, and it really took me being comfortable with me to be like, I'm going and doing my own thing. That really changed everything for me. From a business standpoint, why what? From a business standpoint, one of the things I wish I'd learned sooner. Um, why aren't they split? I have no idea what you're talking about. Um, from a business standpoint, what I wish I'd learned earlier was uh, social media is a liar, right? So what people post, what people share. Jane, if you're just going to post random, I'm going to block you. So if you have an actual question, please feel free to ask it. If you're just being a toolbox, hit the bricks. When I was getting started, hold on. Sorry, had to swing the band bat. So when I was getting started, there were a group of photographers in my area who were very, very talented photographers. Beautiful, beautiful work. And the way that they presented and the way that I perceived it was that they were very successful. And it's like and only later did I find out like none of them were doing this for a living, right? So like I was basing my ideas of success in the industry based on what people were posting and then how I perceived it. Right. So I wish I'd learned that a whole lot sooner. Things would have gone faster. We found a press of some wheat or something that looks old. It makes me think of a poor picture. That's cool. Okay. So the pricing question, since I've experienced in theater, could you explain the difference between an actor headshot and a corporate headshot, both taken in a studio setting? Yes. Let me go back to your pricing question first. I have no idea who you are, Trolley. So back to the group pricing question. That's the thing. So, okay. So should pricing be on the website? On my headshot website, individual pricing is listed because I think people who are shopping for a headshot want to get in, get out, get their stuff done. Like we don't need to fool around, whatever. For a corporate, if I'm going to do like a group setting, I don't put group settings on the website because I need more information. So like I need to know number of people, how many images, how many clothing looks. Am I coming to you? Are you coming to me? So there's a whole lot of questions. And I also want to talk to whoever's making those decisions about booking a headshot session. You're welcome, Eric. Whoever is making those decisions know what sort of benefits they're going to get from working with me in the future and how working with me now is going to save them down the road. So for corporate things, I recommend get them on the phone and as quickly as possible. I have a price list for me, that I have there. It's like, if I'm shooting X amount of people, prices here, X amount, so I know those numbers without having to just make stuff up. And I know, because I know my numbers, I know what I have to make for a session to be able to make it viable. Like if somebody was to come at me at this point and be like, I'll give you $500 to shoot 30 people, the answer would be absolutely no. Like a minimum for a headshot in here for the session in one image is 400, right? So you've got to know your numbers and what it costs to open your door every day. Have a photo shoot in a week, and other than for fun, I have no experience. Photographer 101. Are you the photographer or are you in front of the camera? And while you're typing that, let me answer this over here. So since I've experienced, and this is on YouTube, since I have experience in theater, could I explain the difference between an actor headshot and a corporate headshot, both taken in a studio setting? So in many ways, an actor headshot and a corporate headshot are the same. However, to a point. Like with a corporate headshot, you're pretty much trying to work within a limited range of emotions. You want confident and approachable. You can do some smiley stuff, but all of them need to be genuine, right? With actor headshots, you need to go with a bigger range of things. You can get a little bit more charactery. You can get a little bit more dramatic, depending on what the person is auditioning for. I don't recommend anybody like actors who want to get costumey during follow-up. Do you recommend charging the same price as? Can you explain that more? Like I've had actors who like want to come in and be like, I'm auditioning to be a cop, so I should wear a cop uniform. Like, no, you shouldn't. Or, you know, I'm auditioning for a doctor role, so I should have a lab coat and a stethoscope. No, you shouldn't. Those aren't things that you should do. Because like if you look at, you know, any of the big cop shows or any of the big, you know, doctor shows, right? Then actor headshot versus my actor headshot sessions and my corporate headshot sessions are identical, because there's a session fee and the per image price. So you really don't. A thing that a lot of people don't understand is photographers don't make their money on their session fees, right? Photographers make their money on selling product. And so like anytime I see somebody doing like we're going to do a headshot mini so it's a $99 and you get 6 images or whatever, I know that person will be out of business in the next 3 years unless they change their ways, because that's not a sustainable business model. We make our money by selling product, right? So the long and short of difference between a corporate and an actor is you're going to get more range in an actor headshot than you do in a corporate. So like somebody doing corporate stuff doesn't need. Now it's not to say that I've never sold multiple emotions in a corporate shoot. It depends on what the person does. Like I had a woman who does corporate coaching and things, so we did get a little bit bigger responses out of her, but those images are used more presentationally. So it depends on how they're going to use the images. And you are welcome. Multiple outfits thing. Okay, so over here on TikTok, Steven says he has a photo shoot in a week, and other than for fun, I have no experience. Photographer 101. It's for 2 women, multiple outfits, all day long type of thing, a model type of thing. Oof. Okay. Okay, I'll get to the inverse square law in a second. I'll make it very easy for you. Okay, if you've never done that before, take your time, and this is going to be the best I can give you because that's a lot. Take your time. Pay attention to what's going on in your scene. Don't just smash the button and hope, right? Like look through your viewfinder, or if you're one of those people that uses the screen on the back of your camera, look at the scene that your camera sees. Pay attention to details and click it, right? With the kind of shoot that you are talking about is a lot of work, because you're managing not only the images that you're trying to create and the lighting that you're trying to do, you're also managing the personalities in front of the camera, and how they're interacting with each other and how they're interacting with you. Like one of the things that makes great portraits don't come from telling somebody what to do. It comes from interaction. Like I tell people what to do, but it's also we're in the room, we're interacting together, right? So if imagine you went on a first date, right? And like the vibe just wasn't there. And no matter what you do, just the vibe in there, so it feels off. Like, so part of what we do behind the camera is manage that vibe, right? Okay, so yeah, another photographer there. That's great. That's going to help you out a lot. So if the question you asked is fairly broad brushstrokes, so I'm giving fairly broad answers. So if you have specific, feel free to throw it at me. But there's a lot that goes into it. Okay. I love dogs on TikTok says beating myself up about not knowing inverse square law by heart. Do I really need to know it by memory? If you mean the actual formula, do you need to know it by memory? No. You, I, the old timer photographers may jump up and down on me for that, but I don't care. I win awards and stuff, so I don't care. Um, what what you need to know is the basics of how it works, right? So like the closer your lighting source is to the thing that you're photographing, subject you're photographing, the brighter it's going to be. The further you pull it away from the subject, the the dimmer it's going to be. The closer it is to the subject, the higher the contrast. The sharper the fall off between light and shadow. The further you pull it away, the more it's going to wrap around and expand. If you can understand those things, you're good. You don't have to know the exact formula. I know that for like every foot that you pull it away, it's shit, I just forgot it. Every foot that you pull it away, it's half as bright as it was before, right? So, if you're at full power and it was here at 100%, you go back a foot, 50%, you go back another foot, you're at 30, whatever. So I don't use meters and things in here. I look at my photo, No, I don't have a degree. Whatever. It's old timers would jump up and down on me, but whatever. I don't care. I run a successful business. They can bite me. Me and another photographer were teaching a group course in here on how to do the kind of photography that we do. And I set my lights where I think they need to go. I take a shot, I look at the light, and I adjust, right? I shoot tethered on everything. And there were a couple people here who maybe a little bit older than me. I don't know. Yes, trust your gut. Absolutely. I look at the image. Is it right or is it not? I don't care what a meter says. Never did. And never. I'll go back to a sound thing here in a second. So like I'm setting up and I'm shooting and I'm explaining to the class what I'm doing, and I had like 3 people in the class who had like light meters, and they're like, well, shouldn't you be metering and shouldn't you do this and you do this? And they'd come over and meter stuff, and I don't care. I give 0 craps about that. What I care about is, does the image that I just shot look right? If it looks right, then it's right. Done. I don't care what a meter says. When I was sound design engineering, like I would, throughout the tech process, and we would set levels, for the sound in the space during those times, and there would be settings on the soundboard and all that stuff. When it got to showtime, and I said this to my board ops all the time, like, I don't care what the numbers on the board say. I care about, does it sound right? And that came from different experiences in different circumstances in the room would change how the room sounds. Temperature of the room would change sound. Let's say it was like, a cool night one night and everybody in the audience came in wearing sweaters. And then the next night it was a warmer night, so everybody came in wearing a light cotton. That adjusts how the sound of the room would be. So I don't care what the board says. I need the show to sound the same every time. So turn whatever knobs, push whatever levers you have to push. That's the thing. So same with creating portraits. They have to look right. I don't give a crap what the numbers are. So good question. I have a meter for the sake of understanding light stops better. Yeah, I never bought a meter. I thought about it once, but then I was like, man, that's just gonna be something that collects dust in my bag. Like I don't read instructions. Get a new video game, I don't look at instructions. I start smashing buttons until I know how to play the game. Would I be able to show some of my favorite camera gear? Yes, it's going to be a very small show. Hold on. I have to go back to my giant sippy cup. You guys are asking great questions, and I appreciate it. giant sippy cup. All right, favorite photography gear. There we go. Most of my work is done with this sucker. So this is the Nikon D850, and this is the Nikon 70-200 VR2 2.8. Most of my work is created with this sucker. I shoot tethered, which this is what you see. And I have a link to Tethertools stuff in my bio, I think, whatever, or in my, so I highly recommend, if you're in studio setting or whatever, I highly recommend shooting tethered to keep, or if you go to my Amazon store, all this stuff is there too, which link is in my, link tree, to keep your cable connected to your camera so it doesn't like come out when you're doing it. I use the tether block from Tethertools, so it just screws into the bottom of my camera, and that keeps my tether cable rock solid. The triggers that I use the Pocket Wizard +3s on everything. Probably overkill for what I do because I don't need to be like transmitting and doing all that stuff. Then lighting wise, what I use, I see your tethering question, stand by. Lighting wise for my headshot setup, I have 5 Paul C. Buff Alien B B800s, and I use 1x3 soft boxes on the face for those. And then for my portrait setup, I have 2 Paul C. Buff Einsteins. That's pretty much it. My backup camera is a D800. That was my first big camera, and I have a 50 mil that I never use, and that's it, man. Like I'm not a gearhead in that regard. I keep it really simple. If it's not going to make me money today, I don't need it. So that said, I am considering picking up the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 thing, but that's for vlogging stuff because I'm trying to vlog more of this stuff. So if you're on the YouTube stuff, check out some of the vloggy things. I need to do more of them. I've been doing more client-facing videos there recently. And then the question on TikTok is, do I prefer Capture One or Lightroom for tethering? I am Capture One. I've been using Capture One 10 years. When I first started tethering, I did use Lightroom, but it was laggy and it was slow and it would crash the computer. So Capture One, in my opinion, is far better for it. And I think the raw processing out of Capture One is better. But the caveat to that is I haven't used Lightroom in a million years. So the raw processing could be considerably better. I just don't know about it. Like what? Oh, my pleasure. Happy to answer. Ask as many questions as you'd like. That's what I'm here for. So I don't even know how long I've been going at this point. So I've been going for no timer on YouTube this time. Crazy. Can I repeat what I'll be using for vlog? Right now, I'm just using my phone for vlogging, which is part of the reason I don't do it as much because I get bogged down and be like, oh, what did I record when or whatever. It's the DJI Pocket 4. I think they've released it already. If not, the Pocket 3 is still out. But yeah, it's a cool little gadget, and I need something that I can, if I'm doing the vloggy stuff, I need like to reduce all friction in my life. Like I just need to be able to grab it and go. Over on TikTok, Carol Baskin, oh, I've got questions for you. Ask because I'm a freelance photographer. I guess technically yes. Yeah. I love dogs. So yes, I in the sense that I am self-employed, work for myself, then yes, I would be a freelance photographer. But I, for the most part, stay in my studio. I Love Dog says, I have the Godox X Pro trigger for my lights as the Pocket Wizard Universe. The Pocket Wizard, I believe, is universal. It depends on your hot shoe. So you have to get the one that's right for your camera. I don't know if it will work with what's inside of the Godoxes, though. But they may make a new one that looks like a little spaceship that'll work with all of them, but I don't know for sure. Carol Baskin, again, I have questions. Thank you so much, Redneck Guy. I appreciate it. My style's going to be updating soon. Like, look at this thing. This thing's way too big now, right? Like, I just look so boxy, so I've got to update some things. But thank you. Carol Baskin asks, how long have I been a self-employed photographer? I have so many questions for Carol Baskin. One question, really, irrelevant. I have been working as a self-employed photographer since 2013. So it's been a minute. So what's 2026? So Carol's an open book. I'm sure there are many documentaries that would love to get a hold of you, Carol. Thank you for being a sport. Did I just sound like a grandpa? Oh, I think you're being a sport. God, what's wrong with me? I'm sure they do. You could make I was going to say you could make a killing on that, but never mind. I'm just going to go back to my adult sippy cup. I really feel like a goof drinking out of this thing, for what it's worth. Holy cow. Have I really been, has it been an hour already? You guys have made this easy. I'm loving this. How did I navigate being a photographer before having your own studio? Did you rent spaces or just go outdoor? And then also, was it easy to start or was it hard to start? Okay, so great questions on both. There's kind of a combined thing. So when I started the business, I was shooting kind of everything because I didn't know what to do. So I did a couple like small weddings, and I photographed, somebody's kid at their house, and I did like families in parks and whatever. When I really decided that I was going to like focus in on headshots, I started out of my house. So in my kitchen, and then I tried my garage. Well, my garage was filthy and sucked. Then eventually my wife ended up renting a studio for her business, and I took a little space of that, but then her business grew and I kind of got booted. But we moved to another house, so there was a big room in that house that I was able to convert to a studio. So I was back to working out of my house, and I really built the headshot business out of a bedroom in my house, and started trying to figure out what I was going to do with portraits at that point. What's older Nikon to start with? D200s. Start with what you have. If all I had was my phone to get started, I would start with that. So if a D200 is what you've got, start there, and then buy gear as you can. Hold on, TikTok's making me pass a test. So then, like, once the photography business was going enough, I rented my first space, and then as my business has grown, I've grown with it. But if I was to start again from nothing doing what I was doing, I would do it out of my house, or if I needed something a little bit more formal, I would try to do things like I would partner with like hotels or whatever during the week and be like, hey, if this banquet hall isn't being used, can I rent it for the day to bring in a bunch of people? Or, I'll photograph management's headshots if I can use this room, for a couple hours, whatever. So, bartering is totally a thing, right? So, keep overhead low as long as you can, and go from there. So that's what I would do, so for sure. Or talk to like I rent my space. If somebody wants to rent it, $150 an hour for minimum 2 hours, they can rent my space, come in and do stuff. That's completely fine. Over on YouTube says, where do you see headshot photography going? Are we going to put out a biz by AI? Oh, that's a good question. Okay. I do not think that AI is going to kill the photography business at all. I don't feel like AI is going to put headshot photographers like me out of business. I do feel like AI will put headshot photographer, like the $50 headshot photographers, $100 headshot photographers are screwed, right? So the people who are just marketing their business off of price don't stand a chance. AI will annihilate them. The kind of people that I'm working, and I've seen it already. I've chatted with clients about AI stuff, and I've had clients who've tried AI stuff. So, for example, I had a guy earlier this year, and we were talking about it, and he asked me about the AI thing, and I was like, "Well, you're here," and he was like, "Well, I tried AI," and I was like, "Okay, so you tried the AI headshot thing, and you're now paying me a lot of money to step in front of my camera. So what didn't go right?" And he was like, "I need to know that I've got somebody on the other end of the phone if I need something." Right. So because I can take care of what he needs, because I'm a professional and because I can provide that service, he's trusting me more than just a computer. Another great example, a company hired me recently. I had like 30 headshots for this company. And as I was setting up, I was talking to the, two people who were making these decisions, and they're like, "Yeah, we tried the AI headshot thing, and it was such a pain because first we had to get images from everybody, a couple images from everybody, which just cut into their time and it annoyed the staff. Then we had to upload it to stuff. And then what we were getting out of it just never quite looked right. We need a consistent background. It wasn't getting that right. Nobody really looked like themselves. Like it was just off. Like they were experiencing the uncanny valley, if you're familiar with the term. So they ended up like these two key people in the company, well-paid people in the company, spent 2 days where they could be doing anything else, effing around trying to get AI headshots going, and ended up calling me anyway, right? And so I went in, set the studio up, photographed 30 people, get the studio out, done in less than 4 hours, and had their images delivered to them the same day. So if they just hired me in the first place, they wouldn't have lost 2 days of time. And now they know that, right? So all that back around to, it's like, I don't think AI is going to get, because people want for professional reasons, people need to be presenting the real version of themselves. Like people are surprisingly put off if they find out you have an AI headshot. They're like, it's not really you, because your headshot has a job to do, right? Like your headshot isn't just a picture, it's out there to put you out as the realest version of you. So if you're putting out a version that isn't you, people feel lied to. But then also we provide service. I take care of people, right? Like I can help people decide their images. People get stressed out when they're trying to pick their own images, right? So the great analogy for it is thinking about when you go to watch something on YouTube, but you don't quite know what you want to watch. And so you just scroll forever and then you get frustrated, right? Same thing. If somebody's looking at 100 headshots of themselves, then they can't, they get overwhelmed. I can take that. I can help. I can make the process easy. So the industry is going to change, but it's not going to eliminate photographers. The same way the camera didn't eliminate painters. I still know friends who make livings with a paintbrush, right? So it says we own, Ken says we own a school photography biz. AI is a concern, but parents are also, yeah, it should be. I mean, like nobody reads talking about privacy with AI. Nobody reads those terms of service with the AI stuff either, right? Like you start uploading your images to any of the AI things, and a lot of them say they can use your image to train other AIs. So like it's entirely possible you see yourself in a movie someday that you're not getting paid to be in, just because terms of services, they can use your image. Do I offer same day in-person sales, or do you have the images edited? Have your clients come back at a later date? So no, okay. So I do same day in-person sales. I'm not going to spend my time editing anything that somebody's not going to buy. And like I used to do that. I also found that, right? Did nobody watch Terminator 2? So back when I first found Sue, like Sue's whole thing at that time, as I understood it, was like she would edit like the 25 best images from a session and then put them up on the reveal wall and sell from that, right? So, and I did that. What I found is it wasted too much of my time and it limited my sales, because if I only have 25 images for you to look at, then that's what you're going to do. So what I do, like the boudoir session I just shot this past Tuesday, all the days blur together. What I do is I shoot everything tethered, so or the matrix, right? My camera's connected to my computer, shoot everything tethered while I cull as I'm working, and then when they go to change back into their street clothes, I have a back here where you're seeing the right over here. This is my sales room, so I have a big TV in this room. I go in there and I set up and I share my screen to the TV, and I sell directly out of Capture One. No edits, no anything. Like, we're right out of camera. That way, I'm not spending my time editing things that don't need to be edited. I'm also not capping my sales. So it's not uncommon. Like my albums, for example, what I have listed is a 10 image album and a 20 image album. It's not uncommon for me to sell 40 or 50 image albums, right? Because people just add on. If I had capped everything at 25, then I would never get up to that 50 range, right? So I don't see any reason for any of us to be capping what we can sell, right? So I'm not going to make the decision for my clients on what they like or what they don't like. To an extent, like when I do my initial cull. You're so welcome, Ken. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm hoping to be doing this every Friday, unless I have a client in here. I'll be here Fridays, typically noon, 1-ish. So keep checking me out. Thank you. Yeah. Then I just lost my train of thought. My ADHD is showing. Great questions, man. You guys are like, these past couple weeks, these lives have been just awesome. You guys are blowing me out of the water, and I love answering these questions. Does anybody have any? And it doesn't have to be photography related. You can ask, anything. I don't care. I'm wide open. And if we don't have other questions, I'll wrap it up because it's been a long week. I'm on a severe calorie deficit, so my brain gets dumb sooner. That's what happens when you hire a coach. Absolutely not, Eric. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. Do you edit once sold, or editing? Everything gets edited once it's sold. Everything gets edited. So it gets like, clean up and all of that. But then I also can, kind of have my little signature style, and I do color grades on things. Thank you. I'm glad you found me too. I'm happy to answer so many questions. I am familiar with Bradford, at least the persona that he puts out online. Do I have another light that I add for fill behind me? Typically, yes. Depending on how deep I want to go with shadows. But there's normally a 6-foot umbrella behind me for portrait stuff, or I should say, a V flat in there to fill in the shadows if needed. If I'm going like heavy, chiaroscuro, I'm mispronouncing that word. I may not do any fill at all. You are so welcome. Thank you for being here, Eric. I really appreciate it. How far below the key light power? Depends. I don't base it off of power. I base it off of look, and depending on how deep I want the shadows to be. So, and it's not uncommon for me to adjust it between looks. So like I may be like, oh, we're going to fill the shadows in a lot for this particular look and buy, but then on the next one, I'm going to turn the fill light way down to really make those shadows go deeper. So it really just depends on the look and the vibe of the image that I'm going for. But one of the things that I think is really important as a photographer, as a visual artist, is before you start smashing the button, you need to have a vision of what the image is in your head first, because none of this is accidental. Like it's not we just set things up and hope. It's, I know in the little theater in my head what that image needs to look like. Now I just need to adjust things until it looks like that. The same way Michelangelo was talking about the statue of David, what he said was like, it's, David was always in there. I just had to get him out. Right. So Nice to meet you as well. Oh, well, thank you for discovering the content and being a fan. I greatly appreciate it. I had a lot of people discover me in the past week or so because a post went crazy viral, which I'm not used to. I think it's like at 3 million now, which is nuts. Bipolar Vampire here on TikTok says, at which moment did you decide to go into boudoir photography, and was it difficult to build up? Okay, so I was not originally intending on being a boudoir photographer. That was not not what I envisioned this life being. Built the business with professional headshots, and then I eventually, after I found Sue and then found my path, and I was talking about that earlier, classic portraits was what I was really envisioning. Like I'm very much inspired by artists like John Singer Sargent and Frank Duvnak, and those impressionist portrait artists, and other eras too. Many other, but anyway, like portrait artists. And on a trip, and I actually just made a YouTube video about this yesterday, talking about nude boudoir photography, which is freaking people out on YouTube because they are expecting something else when they click on that. It's not what you're getting. So my wife and I were at the Cincinnati Museum of Art. There's a painting up on the second floor. If you're standing up at the top of the staircase, and then you go to the right, you're going to find it. It's called Woman Drying Her Hair. And I was looking at that and was like, boudoir photography doesn't have to be provocative. Like the human body's been has been seen in art forever. It's just modern boudoir photography is very provocative. It doesn't have to be. I was like, I wonder if I could tweak or if I could riff on this image. So I did. So the image back here, trying to point right here, that's my version of Woman Drying Her Hair. Very much inspired by Joseph DeCamp's painting, because I just wanted to say, and so that's what launched it. I assumed that when I was launching the portrait / boudoir side of my business, that a majority of my business from that would be classic style portraits. Turns out that's not the case. I do get portrait bookings, but I get more boudoir bookings than I do portrait or combo sessions where we do some of both. So that's kind of how it started, but it was really me being like, it doesn't have to be, yanking on underwear and falling off a couch sort of stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that sort of stuff. If that's somebody's jam, that is their jam. That is awesome. It's just not mine. And I don't want to create work that doesn't bring me some sort of joy. And I can shoot that sort of stuff, and if somebody's paying me enough, I'll do it. That's fine. But what really makes me happy is the artistic and the elegant side of things. And I've been very lucky that the people who book me feel the same way. I've had actually a majority of the people who book me will at some point say, I've been curious about doing a boudoir photo shoot for a while, but everything that I've seen was not my taste. I wanted something more artistic. And so that's where I get to fill that void. And was it difficult to build up? Yes, no. I mean, it's not hard to build a portfolio. Getting it in front of people can be difficult. Social media, networks don't necessarily enjoy or won't allow us to post things. So that's been difficult. Having to run 2 different websites for it becomes a bit of a challenge. So like my main website, which is the headshot website, has all of the SEO juice because of its age. Like that site's been around since 2013. But the boudoir website, because I had to separate them out because I was confusing algorithms and things, is only a couple years old, so it doesn't get seen as much. It's an ongoing thing. A lot of times my clients prefer that their images not be shared online as well. So there's things that I have to do. Like a lot of times I'll bring in, models or volunteers to step in front of the camera so that I can create work to show, create work to, be like, here's what I make, and to be able to sell it. So that's time, but that's marketing dollars at the end of the day. So it's a little bit of every. Great question though. I hope I answered it without rambling too terribly much. Just got a text message from my wife being angry she had to go put gas in her own car, and I didn't do it, but I've not been able to drive it for a week, so not my fault, man. Uh, you're very welcome, and yeah, it's the way I look at the client stuff. It's that's theirs, and they, yeah, when they're paying me, I am creating for them. So I'm, not showing it is not showing it. I don't. That's fine. If I need to show stuff, and they don't want me using their stuff, I just bring people in. It's fine. And I don't shoot that much for content anymore either, because I have a fair amount. And I'm trying to do so many other things. Like I need 4 of me I need 1 of me just to deal with all the social media stuff. I need another of me just to deal with the marketing stuff. I need another of me to deal with photographing and editing people. And I need another me just to go nap. So, yeah. So I tell you what, y'all, I've been going for like an hour and a half. This has been awesome. So I'm going to wrap this up. This has been great. I'm doing these. The goal is to do these every Friday, at a minimum of every Friday anyway. You're so welcome. So like Friday, I'm typically around 12 or 1 on these. So be sure to check on those. And when I think about it in advance, I'll post and I'm going to be doing it. Ask me as many questions as you all want when I'm on these. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the weather here is going to be nice. I hope it is where you are too. And yeah, thanks guys. We'll see you all next week. Be sure to go like all my other stuff and follow on the YouTubes and whatever too. On TikTok, if you're really bored, I have a new account set up that's just for my fitness journey if you want to hear me bitch about gym stuff. So have a good one, y'all. Cheers. See you, YouTube. Thank you.